Hello everyone, welcome back. Today, as you can see, I have a variety of ingredients over here. I have some greens, I have some mushrooms, I have some tofu, some chilies and garlic, and a lot of sauces. So I'm not giving any prizes out to anyone for guessing what kind of food I'm making. It's obviously Chinese. And that's one of my favorite cuisines. And this one is an easy, quick, and healthy dish. You're gonna love it. So let's get started. The most important thing in good Chinese food are fresh ingredients, so let's talk about them. Here on this plate, let's start from the right. I have some fresh mushrooms, and these are just regular button mushrooms, and I have here beach mushrooms or shimejis. If you don't have these, don't worry, you can use just these over here. This part over here is actually bok choy, but just the bottom part. The leaves, as you can see, are in here in this bunch. So let's move to this plate now. Over here, I have some fresh chilies, some garlic, and this is spring onion, but only the white part, the bottom part. And I have the green part in this bowl, as you can see. And this is a very interesting ingredient. It's called Chinese broccoli. That's what it looks like whole. So what I've done is I've separated the leaves and I've sliced just this part out. You'll see why in a little bit. And those are the main ingredients, and also of course tofu. I love tofu. I have some silken tofu here, but you need a soft or silken tofu consistency. That's very important. Now let's talk about the sauce. The sauce over here, I've already made the mix, but what that mix has is a cup of vegetable broth, 1 cup, and it has shaoxing wine, which is Chinese cooking wine. If you don't have that, you can use vinegar. It has about 2 tablespoons of that. 2 tablespoons of your favorite chili sauce. I like this one here, but you can use sriracha. And I have a homemade vegetarian oyster sauce made from mushrooms. And this is a vegetarian dish, so I'm keeping it completely vegetarian. So oyster sauce is the key ingredient. There's 5 tablespoons of oyster sauce in there. And I have 1 tablespoon of honey. I use organic honey, but you can use whatever you have. And one of the key flavor ingredients in any good Chinese dish is sesame oil. So I have some good sesame oil. We put all of that in that, give it a good mix, and that is ready to go. So those are all our ingredients. And the other part to good Chinese cooking is to make sure the vegetables stay crisp. I'm going to show you how to do that here. Step 1, get your oil smoking hot. I can see smoke coming out of there, and that's what you want. In Chinese cooking, this is another key thing. You have to have your oil really hot. So in that, first we're going to throw some garlic into our oil. You don't need much oil in this dish. Remember, we're trying to keep it healthy. So I just put my garlic and also my chilies. And this has to only stir for just a quick minute. We don't want roasted garlic in here. We want the garlic to show eventually. So I'll just stir that, and then I'm going to add the bottom part of my Chinese broccoli and the bottom part of the spring onion. So add all of that together because these take longer to cook. And the order in which you add these ingredients is very important because we want to make sure it's cooked but still crispy. So after a quick minute, and this doesn't take long at all, we want to stay crispy, remember. We add our sauce. So we pour the sauce in. Now a lot of people like to add cornstarch to thicken the sauce, but I don't. I like it thin because I like to eat it with rice, and I like that liquid in there. So I give that a quick stir, and immediately the next ingredient you add, which might surprise you, is not the other ingredients but the greens. Because these greens, we want them to wilt in there. It looks like a lot, but watch what happens with these as we put them and stir them in. So less than a minute later, look what happened to all those greens. It was all the way to the top and boom, it's gone down. And that's what happens. And also remember not to add any excess water because these greens give out water. Now we can add the next plate all together, mushrooms and the bok choy stems. We'll add all of them together. We want these to be crisp and not fully cooked. So we give that a stir This is going to cook for about 30 seconds and then we'll add the final ingredients to it. And that's it. 30 seconds later, I'm going to turn off my heat and they're still going to cook in the heat, that's residual heat, what we call it. Here's tofu, the silken tofu, which doesn't really cook much, but it has to be put in there and mixed together to make sure we incorporate all the flavors in there, right? So we give that a very gentle toss, otherwise the tofu is going to break apart. So be careful when you do this step. And last but not the least, we're going to top it off with the green part of the spring onions. So just add a little bit of that on there. And one final stir, again gentle, be gentle, treat it nicely, the dish will treat you nicely. Now remember, I didn't add any salt in this dish because oyster sauce has a lot of salt. Even chili sauce has salt in it. You don't need any salt in this dish at all. So that's it, folks. This is done. And perfect, healthy Chinese greens. I hope you loved it, and I'll see you next time.